Okay. Fantastic. Let me know if you guys can see me okay, if you guys can hear me okay. We had technical difficulties this morning, even though I set this up yesterday. You just never know what's going to happen. Wonderful. Okay, fantastic. I hope everybody can see me okay and hear me okay. Things seem to be happening. Everything is going to be great. Thank you guys so much for being here today. This is going to be great. So, if you've noticed, the last time that we met up was probably at this live stream last month. We have not been making a ton of videos. I should say I have not been making videos this past month. It has been a bit of a crazy time. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at Sweet Georgia. We hired a couple of new people, so our team is growing, the business is growing, things are happening, so many things are happening. There's a lot of stuff happening at the school as well, and there's a lot of stuff happening sort of in my own sort of life with my family and everything, and yeah, it's just a lot of stuff going on. And so one of the things that's been really, really big right now for me, for my time and for my schedule, one of the big things has been about making the next class that I'm putting together for the School of Sweet Georgia. So this is probably the reason why we haven't had a lot of videos here on the channel. But I'm really, really glad that you guys are all here today. We can chat, we can talk about what's been going on. Yeah, I know, Stephanie, you're kind of wondering where I've been, kind of missed the videos. I've been missing making the videos. The goal here, this is Taking Back Friday, the goal has always been to come on Fridays and be here to share about what has been going on in the making, what I've been making, what we're making at the school, what we're making at the studio, just basically a catch up about what's been going on. A lot of these videos have been themed around certain ideas, certain concepts, certain things that I think about as a maker, as a multi-craft jewel maker, trying to juggle many different crafts at the same time. And, like, what do you do when you like knitting and weaving and spinning and dyeing, and how do you juggle your time and all that kind of stuff. So these Taking Back Friday videos were always really about trying to stay accountable to taking time out of busy lives to do this making. And recently my life has become extraordinarily busy and it's been difficult to make things beyond the things that I'm making specifically for work. So the things that I'm making right now are things that are double weave for a double weave class that's going to come out later on this fall. And so the filming of it is going to happen in June, like the official sit down filming where I film with Greta and with Kathy or with Leah. And we're kind of like doing a sit down, talking about double weave and how it all works and all the different layers and how the draft works and all of that kind of stuff we're going to do in June, beginning of June. But right now, there's a lot of weaving that has to happen for that class. And so I'm basically doing a ton of filming myself doing the winding of the warp, threading the loom, dressing everything. I'm using, I think, 3 different looms for this course. So right now I'm dressing the Mira loom. I'm trying to weave off something off the Baby Wolf so I can put something else on there. And then I have a loom at home that's doing a double weave sampler. There's like a lot of double weave stuff going on. And I was saying that one of the challenges with this double weave class, of teaching this double weave class, is all of the people that I have been reading who teach double weave, everyone teaches it a little bit differently. Everyone's notation is a little bit different. How they document how this all works is a little bit different because it's not really easy to show in drawings or illustrations how this really works. You kind of have to have that brain where it's that 3D spatial thinking where you can kind of see how a 3D model works and all of that kind of stuff. So it requires me to somehow absorb what everybody is doing and then explain it in a way that will be more understandable and where you'll be able to recognize, oh, this is this from this kind of source and this is from this kind of source, and to just kind of understand the bigger picture of everything. So that's what I've been working on with sort of the double weave class. And so I think because it's all happening until June, my thought is that we are probably not going to have any new Friday videos until after June because I'm so focused on making the content for that course. And so instead, I think that we can continue making these live streams. These are really, really fun when it all works and things aren't falling apart. Yeah, it's great to do these live streams and to connect with you guys here. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to do this. The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about is making these Friday videos. I want to make them better. I want to make it so that way it feels like you spent your time wisely, that when you were here, that that you feel like the time was well spent, that you either learned something or it caused you to have an idea about something, or it really like moved you to start making something or to do something. Like, I want the videos to do that. And so I don't want to just make stuff just to have stuff. I really, really want to make good videos. And so, I've been thinking a lot about how to go about doing that. And so after June, hoping that the videos that we make are a little bit more topical, more inspired, more, just more, more and better. And so I think Vicky was asking about this sweater. What is it? Where did the sweater come from? So actually one of the things that we were talking about doing is filming in different places and learning about new places. And so one of the things that Greta found for me last weekend was an alpaca shearing. So there is an alpaca farm locally here called Kensington Prairie Farm. It's in Aldergrove. It's like 45 acres of land. They started 22 years ago with 10 alpacas that they brought over from Peru. They started with 5 acres of land, and now it's 45 acres and over 100 alpaca. And so I went last weekend to go shoot some of the alpaca shearing. So I got to see how that all works. And this farm has grown so much over the past years that it's so cool. Like, they have all of the animals. They talked about all the animals. They have this shearing where they bring in a shearer and a grader from Saskatchewan, and they come for the whole weekend to shear 90 animals. And then they have like a shop where they have taken the fiber from the animals, made them into fiber for spinners, made them into yarn for knitters, took that yarn and then made it into finished objects like socks and shawls and blankets and this sweater. So this sweater is 100% alpaca. It's very warm. It's really, really lovely. So they make a lot of really wonderful, amazing products. And so we are hoping to go back and sort of arrange for another time where we can have like another closer look at the farm and look more at these alpacas and show you guys more about sort of behind the scenes of what all happens at this particular farm. So it's like amazing. Someone was saying here, Dunroven, we don't shear them until May or June, or else we'd have to coat them. I think it depends probably on climate. I think our climate here is a little bit on the warmer side, so maybe that's okay. I learned so much about alpacas on that particular visit, so I'm really looking forward to being able to go back and explore some more and then share all of that kind of stuff with you guys as well. Yeah, thank you. I love this color. This is my color for sure. So what else has been going on here? We have been doing a ton of filming here at the school. So not just my class, I'm filming the double weave, but around all of that, we have been filming Charlotte's new Crochet Basics 2 class. So that is coming later on this year, but we're spending like basically every Tuesday in the studio. Charlotte is filming lessons for her crochet class. We also just finished filming with Diana Twiss. And so Diana does a ton of spinning, fiber blending. She works with different colors, blending them together, adding a tiny bit of sparkle, or just how to take those like beautiful blends of fiber and then being able to scale them up into enough to make something larger, like say a sweater, and things like that. And so if you follow Diana on Instagram, you will see so many of her beautiful fiber preparations right now and her hand spun yarn. She has for the past, I think for the past year or two, been really, really looking at supported spindles and playing a lot with supported spindles and making yarn in that way. And you can watch like her progress through her Instagram. Just like the kind of yarn that she is making now is just spectacular. It's beautiful, beautiful, super inspiring handspun yarn. So I encourage you guys to check that out if that is in your interest. We also have finished filming, and right now it's all being edited right now, but Holly Yo's class about finishing for hand knits. So that is coming out April 21, I believe. The first lesson for that is coming out April 21. There's so much content in Holly's class that we ended up having to split it into multiple modules so that we can just deliver one chunk at a time, because the chunks are fairly large, fairly sizable. Holly goes into great detail, and it's just a lot of very up close, fine detail about what she does for finishing, as well as, cast-ons, increases and decreases. There's like so much content in Holly's class. So we're really, really excited about that coming out soon. What else do we have? Oh, yes. So yesterday, yesterday in the studio, we had a visit from Laura Fry, who is the instructor. She's a weaving instructor. She's a master weaver, and she taught the class, the intentional weaver, and also the magic in the water, or the wet finishing class that's on the School of Sweet Georgia. So she did 2 big, massive, epic classes for us for weaving this past year, and she came to visit us in Vancouver yesterday. And so we met with Greta and Laura, and we were basically talking about planning for the filming that we're going to do this October when she comes back to Vancouver again. So we're talking about the classes that we're going to film there. There's going to be 2 classes that we will film the week that she comes to Vancouver. And so that is going to be big and epic. But sprinkled in throughout the rest of the year, what we're going to be doing is something that's kind of new. And it's the idea of doing these lectures online. So we're going to do sort of a Zoom-based lecture like we have done in the past before with Kathy Hattori at Botanical Colors, and also Jana at Everly for tapestry. But basically we'll do like an online Zoom meeting, and Laura will present a number of different topics that are related to weaving. So the first one we're going to start with is called A Good Yarn, I believe. Greta, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The first one, I believe, is A Good Yarn. And so it talks about fiber, the characteristics of fiber, how they work up into weaving yarn, and how that will affect your final cloth. There's a lot of fantastic detail that we've already sort of covered. So I think that will be really, really really good information for everyone to have. It just requires so much information and to absorb all of this stuff in order to make really informed decisions when you actually go and sit down at the loom and make something. And so to kind of like absorbing all of this knowledge behind the scenes, it's not like necessarily hands-on, let's make a set of tea towels, but it is understanding, how does cotton work? What is cotton? What is the structure of cotton, and how does that all work, and what does it do for absorbency, what does it do for strength, what does it do for all of these different things. So lots and lots of stuff to learn there. May 4th is the first live lecture with Laura Fry. We also have, in probably a couple of weeks, Debbie Held, who is our spinning instructor. She's going to come into Vancouver and spend a week with us here, and we are going to film 3 classes. There's just, you have no idea how much stuff is going on right now. It's like a lot of wonderful, wonderful things are happening. So I'm very excited for Debbie to finally come to Vancouver. For those of you guys who may or may not know, we had arranged for Debbie to come 2 years ago. We were in discussions in March. Basically I was about to book a hotel for Debbie Held, and then that exact week, everything locked down because of the pandemic. And so we've just been working apart for all of these years, and now finally having that opportunity to have Debbie Held come to Vancouver. So we're very, very excited about all of that. So that is all happening. And then finally, I want to share with you guys the thing that has just launched this past week on the school, and that is the eco printing class with Caitlin French. So I have this bowl here of many of the things that were dyed in Caitlin's eco printing class. But eco printing is basically taking natural dye stuff and then directly applying it to your yarn or your fabric or your sock blank or whatever, and then doing a contact print. So you're basically pressing that dye stuff against fabric that's been mordanted, and then the color will go into the fabric, but just in the spot where there is the natural dye stuff. So this is how you can get lots of very, very interesting effects with natural dyes. So I want to show you some of these things. Some of these things were sock blanks that have already been wound into balls. So the colors are all kind of mixed up and things like that. But you can see, like, this is a skein of yarn that was dyed with that technique, you know, sprinkled with a little bit of cochineal bug, sprinkled with a little bit of logwood. And so you can see, like, it produces almost like a speckled effect to the yarn. Let's see if you can see it up close. Yeah. It's really, really lovely stuff. So that's a superwash worsted. I think this one is a merino silk DK. Again, you can see that sort of speckled effect here. Really, really cool. Yeah, been wanting to learn eco printing for so long, and it is with Caitlin. Caitlin is awesome in this class. I'm going to show you some of the really super cool sock blanks that came out of it. So this is a sock blank from her class. You can even see where the leaves are. So that's like a giant maple leaf here. There's leaves on here. There's logwood. There's cochineal. There's more flowers directly printed on it. Like, this is one of my favorite sock blanks. This is super, super cool. When does the class start? The class is already available on the School of Sweet Georgia. So it just launched on Wednesday. You can just pop into the school and you can watch all of the videos that Caitlin has made for that particular class. They are available all the time. You can watch them anytime. So yeah, these are some of, like, just a preview of some of the things that Caitlin has made in her class. But I feel like we have come really full circle with a lot of Caitlin's work, because last summer we released natural dyeing with Caitlin. And so that was all the basics of how do you scour your yarn? How do you mordant? What do you mordant with for cellulose? What do you mordant with for wool fiber? And then from there, how do you work with natural dyes in an immersion dye bath? And then after that, we made another course, which is about wildcrafting and also growing your own natural dye plants. So we walked through Caitlin's garden. So she planted a massive garden at home. You can do container gardening. You can do, like, garden in the ground. She made, like, a little community garden. That course has really, really been fun to make and also watch. And then she also did a whole segment on wildcrafting, which is like to go through your environment, go through your community, and to find plants that you can sustainably and safely source in order to do your natural dyeing. So this is a huge big thing for Caitlin, is like sourcing dye color from the environment in which you live. And so now she has sourced maple leaves, like she harvested maple leaves from the sidewalk, I think, in October, and saved them in her deep freezer. And she gave us some of the maple leaves. So we have a Ziploc bag full of maple leaves in our freezer here at the studio. So I think we have to put a sign on it. So like, do not eat or something like that, or not food. But in any case, those are in our freezer. And it's kind of like collecting all of these natural dye things in order to do an eco printing session like this. We have at the studio been sharing a lot of natural dye seeds as well. So I ordered a bunch of natural dye seeds and been trying to start my own seedlings. They are not doing that great. I water them all the time, but they look really super scraggly. They look really, really sad. So I'm hoping they get a little bit bigger so that I can actually plant them in the garden when it's a little bit warmer. And hopefully later on this summer, I will actually have plants that I can use for eco printing or for dyeing or for something like that. So yeah, I'm going to try eco dyeing next week. Looks so pretty. Sock blanks are beautiful. Fantastic. Yeah, so it's been really, really fun to watch this whole process. So I encourage you guys, if you have a membership to the school, then I encourage you guys to go and check out this particular class. Just came out this week. We're super, super excited about that one. Also, as you guys know, in the school, what we try to do, which is maybe like makes us hopefully a little bit unique, is that we're not just making courses over and over and over again. A lot of what we're trying to do is to actually get people to take action and to do something, to actually do the projects or do the work or try the technique or whatever it is. And so one of the things that's coming up next is the tapestry weaving study group. And so the tapestry weaving study group starts up in May, and it will be led by Jana, who is our tapestry weaving instructor, and also Vicky. She's in the chat here. Vicky is one of the moderators in the School of Sweet Georgia community, and Vicky has been weaving so much tapestry stuff over the past several weeks. She actually just popped a package of all of her weaving into the mail, and then we're going to receive them and take photographs of them and everything like that. But they are beautiful. But she basically made all of her tapestries on this little loom, if I'm not mistaken. I think she made some of them on the Eris loom, the shacked Eris loom, the bigger tapestry loom, but she did make a bunch of these as well with Jana's Everly. I think this is called the Everly mini loom, but this is a handheld loom that Jana has sort of designed and has been manufacturing. So the tapestry study group, you could use something as small and mini and handheld and portable as this, or you could use something like the shacked Eris tapestry loom. And then we also have one other option. So this just came into the studio. We have these things. These are from Shacked. It's the Easel Weaver, and this one is 6 inches. So if you can kind of see, it's the same sort of idea. It would be a handheld loom, and it has all of these little spots where you would sort of warp your loom. And it's probably about 1 inch wider weaving width than the Everly mini loom. So this one's about 5 inches weaving width. This one's about 6 inches weaving width. This one also has a little kind of a kickstand in the back, so you could just kind of like stand it up while you're weaving it, like so, if you wanted to, or you could just have it laying on your lap. So these are 2 different options for sort of a handheld tapestry loom, if you're looking for a tapestry loom, if you want to join that tapestry weaving study group. Yeah, it has a stand. It has a little kickstand. It's very cute. Yeah, so the Easel Weaver, it does come in other widths as well. You can get it in 6 inches, 8 inches, and 10 inches. But the one that we have here at the studio, I believe, is 6 inches. So that is available there. So you guys can check out on the Sweet Georgia website. We have all of the tapestry kits. They're all ready to go. You can pick colors of the array, the Just Array yarn to go with it. And so that's the yarn that we're going to be using for the tapestry study group. It's a new tapestry yarn that just has come out with this past year. And it comes in so many beautiful colors. And we have sort of combined them into value scales. So you can get like purples from light purple to dark purple, that kind of a set, or you can get like combos that we've put together where we kind of mixed and matched colors that would provide enough hue contrast and value contrast in order to do the tapestry experiments. So Julie is asking, do the kits come with everything to get started? Yes, so you can get them with your choice of loom, you can get them with your choice of array, you can get them with the undyed array if you like, and you can also add on the warping thread as well, the warping yarn yeah, exactly. You can add on the things like the warp yarn if you don't have warp yarn as well. So it's kind of like you can just add all the pieces that you need in order to make your kit to get going. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of stuff going on right now at the school and at Sweet Georgia. There's a lot of things going on. So if you have not yet joined the School of Sweet Georgia, we do have a promo going on right now for spring. And so it is a promo where you get 7 days for just $1. So you can see if it's something that you like and if it's something that would fit in with, you know, how you learn and how you want to participate in a fiber arts community. But then after that 7 days, if you continue and you choose either a monthly or a quarterly or an annual all access subscription, you will be able to lock in 10% discount off of your subscription. So that is what we have right now. The coupon code for that, if you're going to go join the school now, is Spring Start. And then that will get you that promo, $1 for 7 days, and then 10% off for the rest of your subscription. So that is it. Vicky is saying she made 10 coasters, 10 tapestry coasters. It's been a lot of weaving, and really excited to see it in person. So fantastic. Now, I have some other things to show you guys that have sort of popped into the school very recently. And the first thing is that you may or may not know that in Vancouver right now we have cherry blossom season. It's quite a big deal here. We have cherry blossom festivals. People, you drive down any street that has cherry blossoms and you can invariably find somebody who's doing a photo shoot in front of the cherry blossoms. It's a bit of a thing. And so for that, we decided to re-release a sock blank that we did before, and it's called Cherry Blossom. So this is the scarf that's called Cherry Bellini, but it is knit in a sock blank that happens to be the Cherry Blossom sock blank. So we have these right now available until the end of April. And then we also have our other limited edition colorway for sock blanks, and that is called Cold Mountain. So this is it knit up into a cowl. The cowl is called the Canby cowl, but this is the actual sock blank. So it goes from sort of a brownish, a cool brownish color into a lighter color into these blues, and then a deep, deep blues. Vicky's saying no cherry blossoms in Winnipeg, but lots in Animal Crossing. So that's pretty funny. Okay, and then yes, this is the cowl that has been knit out of that Cold Mountain sock blank. Yes. Sock blanks have just been so much fun for me lately. I mean, you guys know that I'm going to be teaching that class about gradient sock blanks for Melissa Leitman's virtual Canada destination retreat in a couple of weeks. But I have unearthed my entire collection of sock blanks just recently, and looking through them and just seeing like how cool they are to work with and how cool they are to play with. The fact that you can get like a color that just transitions so easily from one to the next to the next. In this case, this particular scarf, if you wanted to, you could make it twice as wide. So you could just, because basically how you work this is you start from this corner. You start with, I think, like 3 stitches, and you keep increasing and increasing and increasing until you get that wide. And then you are basically knitting your lace pattern, increasing on one side, decreasing on the other side through the entire scarf. So if you wanted to, you could make this twice as wide. You could keep increasing until this is twice as wide, and then your scarf would be half as long. But then if you really wanted to make it longer, like the same length, then maybe you could attach a second sock blank and work in the opposite color direction, and then you would have a perfectly symmetrical scarf that is twice as wide. I feel like that would be a really, really great idea as well. So these are all things that you can do with sock blanks. So I encourage you guys to check these out. Both of these sock blank colors, they are going to be gone at the end of April. Yes. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, this is the last thing that I'm going to show you today. I posted about this last night on my Instagram for Lo Meets Loom. This is a color gamp. This is one of the projects that is assigned as part of the basic level of the Guild of Canadian Weavers Master Weaver program. So you guys may know that this is something that I have been wanting to do for some time. I decided to go ahead and start making this color gamp. This is one of 10 projects that you have to submit. Some of the other projects you have to submit, like an M's and O's project. You have to do a summer and winter project. You have to do a crackle project. My twill gamp that I talked about all last year is like one of the projects for that particular level as well. The overshot that I've been doing, again, is also part of that level. And the color gamp is, I think, project number 4 or something like that. And when you read the instructions, it sounds like it should be so straightforward and so easy. We're weaving plain weave. Is plain weave. And yet it's so much harder than you think it's going to be. So this is how it was on the loom. Let me see if I can show you in a different angle. This is how it was on the loom. And so you can see what I did was I added borders. I added some black yarn on the side for about 10 ends. And then I did 10 picks of black as well. And I added borders so that the squares would not be disturbed. So the squares would not be like crushed on one side or anything like that, that I would get like a nice even reading for each of these squares. It's supposed to be a 50-50 balanced weave, which means that the same number of ends per inch should equal the same number of picks per inch. So if I have, like, say 40 ends, I should have 40 picks, and it should measure exactly the same on both sides. Now, as it turns out, I have, when I measure this, once it's been wet finished and everything, I've pressed it and everything, when I measure it now, it looks like it is 20 ends per inch, but wait, no, it's 21 ends per inch, and it's 20 picks per inch. And so just that one pick difference adds up to this not being a perfect square. It is not a square. And so it's off by about 12 millimeters. So, like, there's 6 sections. Each section is basically 2 millimeters too long, which means that at the end of the day, after all the 6 have been added up, then I'm 12 millimeters or 1.2 centimeters too long. And so, I mean, part of that makes me a little bit sad. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I can make it again. I put on enough warp to make it again. I put on probably about 4 yards just in case I would have to make it again, because I kind of assumed that I would have to make it again. But at the same time, it's still a little bit disappointing. I mean, this loom is a new to me loom, so I'm still kind of getting used to a lot of the quirkiness of this particular loom, and knowing, you know, how hard to beat and all of these kinds of things. I should figure that out. Well, I have to kind of sample, right? So I have to make one, see what it felt like to beat, how hard I need to beat, wash this, dry it, press it, figure all this out. This is kind of like my sample for going back and making the next one, which will hopefully be better. Yeah, I know it seems like it should be fine, but it's not. And so I wonder, because, like, it's a pretty piece of cloth, and I know my daughter, she loves rainbows, so she's like, can I have it? It's like, that's fine. But I think it's really an interesting question, because I think very much right now, in this time, in this modern sensibility, we talk a lot about how, you know, you are okay as you are. Everything is okay as you are. And you're good enough the way that you are, without needing to change, without needing to do anything. And just everything is that it's okay not to be perfect. And it doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. And it's true. It's beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. However, if you're going to submit it for an exam, and you're submitting it for a test, an adjudication, it has to be exactly what they asked for, right? So if they ask for it to be 2.5 inches this way, it has to be 2.5 inches the other way. And so I kind of think about all of this in a way like, if you're learning to play music, this is not playing songs. This is practicing your scales and making sure that your scales are perfect. Like, if you were cooking, this is not about cooking the recipe. This is about, like, learning to cut all of your vegetables so that they're exact, perfect 1/4 inch cubes. So this is about the technique and the skill in your hand. It's not about the finished object, or it's strange. It's not even about the joy of the finished project. I mean, hopefully you find joy in perfecting your technique. But I know it can feel a bit like a grind. I learned piano when I was a kid, and I did not enjoy practicing my scales. I did not enjoy that part of it. I enjoy music. I love singing. I love the songs. I love being part of an ensemble. I love all of that. But the experience of sitting down and practicing your scales was not as much fun. And so I feel like that's kind of where this is, but it's very difficult to communicate to people that it's necessary, because I think a lot of people will say it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. You can just enjoy your weaving and have fun with it and make something beautiful, and just have fun with it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have fun with the practice of being intentional and trying to do a good job with my technique. So trying to find the fun in the grind of getting that technique down. Yeah, it's kind of like swatching. This is basically my first swatch for the rest of the project. So, I mean, like when I had talked to Laura Fry last year when she came to film with us, she had mentioned before, like someone else that she knew who was doing a similar kind of exam. She needed to produce a perfect plain weave, and she ended up weaving 3 times 7-yard warps. So she put on a 7-yard warp and wove that to get plain weave and didn't like it, put on a second 7-yard warp, didn't like it, and then got to the last warp. She did a third warp, 7 yards, and finally I think like the last yard she felt like was good enough. So I think that definitely it requires a little bit of patience. I think it requires some perseverance. Yeah, I'm going to keep going with it. But if anybody is curious, this yarn is Ven cotton. So this is an 8-2 cotton. I know that we're in Canada. We can get Maurice Broussard cotton for sure. I have tons and tons of Broussard cotton in my stash. But I wanted something just a little bit different, and I wanted to find a perfect rainbow. That was the trickiest thing for these colors, was trying to find colors that would be separate enough and strong enough that they would have the same kind of saturation and intensity across the board. Because some of the colors would be a little bit more pale, some of them were a little bit more, yeah, they were always kind of veering off in different directions. So I feel like these colors that I've managed to find in the Ven cotton, these really represent a good, solid, clean rainbow of colors. Like this is, I wish that this was a little bit darker and a little bit more cool. I think that that would have been a great red, but this is called Flaming Red. There was no other red. I mean, it starts to go into like purple. I mean, this is like a raspberry color. So this is not exactly red, even though I like this color way more. But this is called Flaming Red. And then this is your orange. This is a nice, good, saturated yellow. Yellow, I know, Vicky, you were saying that you went to the yellow, straight to the yellow, because the yellow is so much lighter. You go straight to the yellow here. Yeah, the yellow really, really stands out because it's so much lighter. But if it was any paler, I feel like it would wash out the whole piece. So that's the yellow. This is a nice middle of the road green. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, it's just center green. And then a nice royal blue, and then this is a violet color. So this is kind of the rainbow that I was working with, and then I added black to the mix. So this Ven cotton, this is actually 8-2 cotton. It is organic, and we got it from Holland, I believe. Yeah, it is from Holland. So we have a whole bunch of colors. We actually, I had to order it for this rainbow color gamp, but they had so many pretty colors that I ordered a bunch of other colors as well. So I ordered some of my favorite colors. So like this is the raspberry color. I love this. This one I think is like a brass color. Oh yeah, it is called brass. So this one is also really like a greenish gold color. I really, really love this. So it is organic. Yes, Vicky, it is organic. I like the mustard too. So yeah, these are colors that I want to play with and do a little bit of stuff. So what I'm thinking is, I have this on the loom. I'm still going to continue to make this. I'm going to work on my selvages. I'm going to work on the draw in. I'm going to do a better job. But meanwhile, I might take some of these other colors and put something else on the fanny at home and just have a bit of a palette cleanser, like have a bit of fun, just playing with different colors, just something a little bit different, something that's not, something that someone will judge, something that is for a course, but something that's just for fun. Yes. I love yellow, right? Like mustard yellow is one of my favorite things. Can I wear it? Yeah. So basically, that is what has been going on here. It's really, really lovely and wonderful to see all you guys here in the stream. I think we should definitely do this again. We are doing every month, the second Friday of every month, we do this as a live stream. And in between those weeks, we have been trying to pop in some videos. So maybe we'll continue doing this, but definitely, yeah, these live streams, these are really, really fun to do. So fantastic. Thank you guys all for being here today. It's a bit of a longer one. Yeah. I guess I will see you guys inside the School of Sweet Georgia, inside the forums, inside the community there. Yeah, it's fantastic to see you guys in the chat here. So thank you so much for being here. Of course, if you guys want to find us, our websites are sweetgeorgiayarns.com and schoolofsweetgeorgia.com. And yeah, I will see you guys in a couple of weeks then. Thank you so much for being here. See you in the next one. All right, bye for now.